For me, I mean, Jesus stirs so many people's imagination. I mean, Jesus, you know, some of the teachings of Jesus are very, very powerful and effective. However, that's not what I'm interested in. You look at Paul, the Apostle Paul doesn't talk about what Jesus said or did at all. I mean, the idea about turning the other cheek, about being loving and caring, you find that anywhere. You can find that in any culture and any kind of religion, so that's not what makes Christianity interesting to me. The red letter Christians, that's interesting, but there's nothing unique about that. What's interesting to me is this crucifixion experience. We're being called to live a different type of life. That's what Paul understood. That's why he concentrated on death and resurrection. And that's why I concentrate on death and resurrection. Because those symbolize a different way of being in the world. That's what I'm interested in.
Peter, you can't make money off the crucifixion. You can only make cash off of idolatry.
Yes, that's very true. If you want to sell people certainty and satisfaction, you're going to make a lot of money.
Worship Jesus, get paid.
Yeah, you will get the white suit, you'll get the perfect teeth, you'll get the whole shebang. You can fill stadiums with people who want to believe. We all want to believe. Getting people to believe is easy. I used to do it. I used to be an evangelist. Getting people to believe is simple. To get people to question, to ask fundamental questions about their faith and about their life, now that's hard. You've got to be 10 times better to do that. Because we want to hold on to what we believe. We want to grasp hold of it because it tells us why we're here, it tells us where we're going, it gives us security. To get people to interrogate that is profoundly difficult, but I believe that that's the task we're called to do. Not so that we're, you know, depressed and broken, but so that we overcome it. You see, this is the trick. People say to me, Pete, you know, you're just trying to make me depressed. Well, I'm not trying to make you depressed. I'm telling you that you already are depressed, you just don't know it. See, we're all haunted houses. We're all full of ghosts. People that we've loved and lost, people who have hurt us, people we've hurt. And we realise that we're haunted houses when we sleep. At night we often encounter those people. We encounter those ghosts in the corridors of our mind. And the truth is not that, you know, in usual ghost stories what you have is the ghosts are there because they can't let go of us, they can't let go of the world. But the truth is more interesting. You see it in the film Ghost Town, where the ghosts are there not because they can't let go of us, but because we can't let go of them. We want to avoid the confrontation with those ghosts and with our own brokenness, and so we fill our lives with noise and with abundance. We're terrified of being silent, even for an hour, because if we're silent, we'll realise that there's so many voices within us that we can't be at peace. I'm saying it is only in confronting those ghosts, only in making our peace with them, only in doing the difficult work of mourning that we can actually come to new life. There's one story I'd like to tell you, and I think it gets to the heart of this. And it's about a woman who gives birth to a child, but after only a few days the child dies. She is distraught, so she wraps the child's body in linen and wraps that body to her own. And then she goes out in search of someone, of anyone who'll be able to help. She goes to witch doctors and faith healers and no one can do anything. But in one of the villages, some guys say to her, well, it's rumoured that high up in the mountains, away from everyone, there is a holy man who is so close to the divine that he can even raise the dead. Perhaps it's just a myth, or maybe he's long since dead. But if you're so desperate, perhaps you should go in search of him. And so she does. She gets a few provisions and she goes up into the mountains. Now, one of the villagers said that he supposedly lives beside this crystal clear lake. And so sure enough, one day she comes across this beautiful lake, and beside it there is this little humble dwelling. She knocks on the door and this old man comes out and she begins to weep. She says, I don't know if you're the person I'm looking for and I don't know if you can help, but my child is dead and I must have her back. Well, the old man takes pity on her and says, yes, I am the one you're looking for. He says, I can concoct a potion that will help, but I need ingredients. I need you to go back into the towns and find me a handful of mustard seeds taken from a home that has not been burned by that black sun of suffering which has touched your life. And bring those back and we'll see what we can do. So she goes back into the town and she goes from house to house, but she cannot find one home that has not been touched by suffering and death. And yet, as she hears the story of other people's suffering, she gradually comes to terms with her own until she's finally able to bury her child in the earth.